Hello and welcome back to Toast and Strawberry Jam. Today I'm going to be doing the Frankenstein's Hunger Games book challenge. So I believe that this is another original idea. I have not seen this done before. So I'm going to do it now. Basically, the idea is you are Frankenstein, you are Dr. Frankenstein, and you are creating a monster to compete in the Hunger Games. Your monster will not win the Hunger Games, but we want to know how long it'll last and how it will die. So, what I have done is I have written down 9 book characters, like favourite book characters, characters from books that I have read recently, written them on these little slips of paper. I'm going to put them in my jar and I'm going to pick out 3, and these 3 characters are going to be blended together to make my Frankenstein's monster, which will compete in the Hunger Games. I'm going to do that 3 times, so we'll have 3 monsters all together, and then we get to choose which of those 3 would win the Hunger Games if they were going to. It's fairly simple, I think. So I'm going to go through and tell you which people I have picked. I have picked Bilbo from The Hobbit, not from Lord of the Rings, because he's old then. Then Professor Lupin from Harry Potter. I have picked Rincewind from the Discworld series. I have picked Kell from A Darker Shade of Magic. I've picked Akiva from A Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I think that's how his name is pronounced. I have picked Richard from Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I have picked Jane Eyre from Jane Eyre. I have picked Wade from Ready Player One. And finally, I have picked Hagrid from Harry Potter. So there we go. They are, I think that's 9. They are in my jar, and I'm going to mix them all up, and I'm going to take out 3. My first Frankenstein's monster will be made up of Wade, Bilbo, and Richard. I feel like Richard is a bit useless and only survives because of the people that he's with. And I feel like that's kind of the same for Bilbo as well, whereas I feel like Wade works a little bit better on his own. Like in the end, sure, he needs the others to help him, but throughout the whole book and throughout the whole of the Easter egg hunt, he's on his own pretty much, and he does pretty well. So I think that they'd survive a reasonably long time, possibly just out of luck, but I feel like in the end, just because they're on their own, they just wouldn't be able to just push it that last little bit. They would just be killed, not in a particularly interesting way, just because they can't win. Just because they're on their own and they can't win, I think they would just die. Possibly they'd get hungry and would starve to death. The next 3, I have got Rincewind, Hagrid, and Professor Lupin. So for the majority of the month, the Professor Lupin element of this monster would probably make them fairly weak. But then when it was the full moon, they would kick ass because they'd be a werewolf. I think that the Hagrid part of them would be a plus and a minus, because he would probably know what all of the weird different creatures were in in the arena, but he would probably also want to befriend them and keep them as pets. He'd probably tucking them into his various pockets, and I don't think that having a Jabberjay or anything like that would be a particularly good thing to have on you, because it'd be screaming and shouting all the time. And Rincewind, I think that the luck that Rincewind brings to it, because the only reason that he survives is pure luck, he's not very good. So I think that they would die like the day, or like in the couple of days after the first full moon. Like, I think they could probably survive until a full moon, and because I imagine that the games makers would probably put them in fairly close to a full moon so that they could have the werewolf element in there. But yeah, just after the full moon, I think they'd probably die. I think that they'd be too weak to really put up much of a fight. Like, none of these three are particularly strong fighters, in my opinion, and so I think that, yeah, they would die. They'd probably have like an idea of some way of surviving, and then just because of the poor luck of Hagrid and Rincewind, they'd probably just fail. And then the last three, you have got Jane Eyre, Kell, and Akiva. So, I think this would be a force to be reckoned with. So Kell and Akiva, both kind of fairly strong, like, magical characters. And I reckon that Kell would be able to set up some sort of like teleporting thing. Obviously Akiva can like glamour himself, and he can like start fires and things like that. I think that Jane Eyre would probably just bring a very level-headedness to the whole grouping. I think that this would be a pretty dangerous monster to be in the Hunger Games with, actually. How would they die? I think they'd die in like a really, like, there would be a big fight. It would be like the end fight, the very last like clash of swords and things like that. You know, they'd like, the games makers would have like driven them down into one like very small area of the arena so that they could really just go at it with like swords and bows and things like that. This would be like a really bloody fight right at the end there. And they would, like I say, they would just die purely because Katniss wins the Hunger Games. So yeah, but definitely of the three monsters that we have, so we've got the Wilboward monster, the Professor Rincegrid, and the Kell monster or something. Definitely the winners, in my opinion, would be the Kell monster. I think that there would just be no beating that kind of like burny, handy, makey, fiery thing that Akiva can do. Yeah, I think that they would win. So that's it for the Frankenstein's Hunger Games book challenge. Feel free to do this challenge yourself. Please link back to this one if you do it, and like send me links to your videos like on Twitter and things like that, so that, because I'd like to see them. I like to see what you do with yours. Yeah, just give it a go. I don't know about tagging, whether I should tag anybody. I might tag some people, and I'll leave the names of the people that I tag like in the description below. So yeah, just check out who I've tagged and then like go over to their channels and see if they have done it. I hope they do. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! Hello and welcome back to Toast and Strawberry Jam. Today I'm going to do the Jurassic World book tag. So this is a tag that I have created myself. I had a look on the YouTube to see if anyone else had done it, and they haven't done this exact tag. There was one or two other like Jurassic World book tags, but they were different. So this is like the original of this tag, and I'll leave all of the questions in the description below, and I'm also going to leave them over on my blog, and I will be tagging people at the end of the video, so stay tuned and you can see who I've tagged.